No, it's going out live, I think.
Yeah.
And today,
Hello.
hello guys. Am I audible now?
Yeah,
you
are
are.
audible.
Yeah, you keep cutting in and out, but it's all right.
We got you.
Hello, we have two hosts from the Guerilla Cricket podcast, and it's sort of a very good website which covers all the cricket matches around the world. And we are really honored to have two of the people from there, the Bear and Tony Bishop, sir. So we are really excited to have them today. And I also have Archisman Bhaiya with me. So welcome, Tony Bishop, sir, and the Bear.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Delighted
much
to be here.
Yeah. So before talking about cricket, let us individually know what Guerilla Cricket is and who is Tony Bishop, sir. I mean, we know them personally, but lot of Indians who are new or who are youngsters, or maybe like Arnab, who is a 12-year-old kid, so they may not know Tony Bishop, sir. And after that, we'll be asking about Beer, sir. Of course, I have watched the test match so far, and I have seen the commentary even with Jarrod Kimber. We have done a show, and there also we mentioned his name. So first, let us ask about Tony Bishop, sir, about his life, about his journey. How did he become a commentator, writer? I mean, he's like a all-rounder. So let us know about Tony Bishop, sir, and then we can go to Bear.
I can do that. Well, I've been with Guerilla Cricket since 2017. I was at Lord's. Middlesex were playing Surrey, and I was in the tavern next to Lord's, and I met a gentleman called Dan Norcross, who's now a mainstay on the BBC, and Nigel Henderson. And I was quite drunk, and I stumbled into them, and somehow, which I don't even remember, got myself into a conversation about cricket commentary. And it was Dan Norcross said to Nigel, Hendo, as you would know him, well, have a chat with these guys. They're always looking for people. And sure enough, I went, did a trial, and 4 years later, somehow they haven't managed to get rid of me. So,
yeah.
I used to play a bit of cricket in my time, just local league stuff. Had a career in marketing until I decided that I was too old and couldn't be bothered with that anymore, and now concentrating much more on doing my own thing, which very much includes my cricket. And with Guerilla Cricket, of course. But I'll let the Bear tell you a little bit about the history of Guerilla Cricket, because he's even older than me. Well, in terms of Guerilla Cricket,
well, I'm not older than you, Tony, but I've been on Guerilla longer than you. I'm a fair bit younger than you. I like to know, but you know.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah, well, you know. No, I started Guerilla Cricket back in 2014, and the first series we did was the India series of 2014. In fact, previous to that, I was 4 years with an outfit called Test Match Sofa. And the premise is that basically we do ball by ball commentary as it's on the radio, but we're fan based. So the whole premise is originally that it's like sitting around watching a match with your mates. But we do the ball by ball is kind of premiere. We have to make sure that everyone knows what's going on every ball. But then the conversation can veer from all sorts of things as long as people know what's going on about the cricket. And it's very important to us that our social feeds are involved. So Facebook, YouTube, people who comment on and send us tweets or whatever. And we bring them into the show. So the whole thing's like a family affair, if you like. We're all sitting there watching it together, and people have their opinions and we have our opinions. And we all talk together. It's good fun.
Don't forget the music.
And we have jingles too. Yeah. So every player has a jingle. Events of the match, wickets have jingles, fours, sixes, they have jingles, wides, everything has a jingle. And then there's some stupid jingles for just mad stuff anyway. But it's all good fun. And we've been going this is our 8th year. So all good.
Yeah.
How did you guys find us?
I mean, yes. I mean, why shouldn't we find you? I mean, you are so popular in India, and not only me, many like me do find you. So we were always special, and we were looking for you. And it's pretty difficult to catch you both, to be honest. I mean, it took around a month to get you here. So we are quite
Oh, on the
privileged.
show, yeah. Not. It's not difficult to get us in terms of the commentary service. It may be on the show. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're busy. You know,
Get us
it's a
on
busy time
Facebook.
of year. It's a good series
Facebook.
to be doing. So
Yeah.
you know.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. And boy, is it poised in a nice and interesting place at the moment.
Isn't it just?
Yeah. So last question before getting into cricket. First of all, Tony sir, I mean, you have covered a lot of matches. So who is your favorite cricketer, and which are those two matches? Like, I mean, yes, you have to control emotion when you do comment or cover cricket, especially when you are in the field of journalism or something like that. So,
Yeah.
which are those two matches like you are like, wow, I mean, this has made my day? And the other one, it made you a bit emotional, like, yeah, we shouldn't have lost here, or they should have won it. Like, I mean, yeah. So, which were those two matches, and who is your favorite cricketer? And the same question to Bear sir.
Oh, well, you've asked me first, which gives him time to think about it. Let me think. I suppose, being English, I would have to go to Ashes matches. And if I may, I would possibly, from an English perspective, pick two, both of which I had sort of, closely followed. Clearly, 2019 at Headingley, the Ben Stokes recovery. I mean, it was just boys' own cricket on speed. I mean, it was just incredible. If I'm allowed a second, I might go, which sort of suggests a little bit of, focusing on a personal, very much a team game, personal heroics. Ian Botham, 81, Headingley. Remember, I'm of a generation, as Bear has pointed out, I'm the bus pass generation. So I was well able to remember that. And again, it was a match of just extraordinary theatre, which cricket can sometimes bring you. Both were recoveries from the dead, frankly. It was like Lazarus cricket with Stokes and Botham. Both, the game was lost. Australia had won it, and somehow through just, and people forget often about 81. It wasn't just Botham. Graham Dilley played his part. Bob Willis, sadly no longer with us, had that magnificent bowling spell. Stokes could not have done what he did if Jack Leach hadn't got that magnificent one.
Yes.
So,
and Nathan
the
Lyon
most famous one ever
failed to run him out. Yes.
And Nathan Lyon, bless him, who yeah. So those, I would say, my two. Now, do I have a favourite ever cricketer? That's a more tricky one.
Yeah, let me make it easy.
So
you can answer one from England. You can answer three: one from England, one from India, and one from rest of the world.
All right. Okay. Why? Right. Okay. From England, I might have to go back a generation, perhaps, and I would say, well, I'll tell you what, I'd go for Mike Atherton. And the only reason I go for Mike Atherton, not that he was the most exciting player ever, but I've also watched his career progress into broadcasting and journalism. And I like the way he thinks about the game. And I would put into that same category, again, I'm going to cheat and have more than one. I'm going to take Mike Brearley. So I referred to that Ashes series of 81. Just the intellectual knowledge, and not the greatest cricketer, not the greatest batsman, yet his team management, his vision, his player management of certain situations was just, and of course he literally wrote a book on captaincy. I would say one of those two. I might even go Mike Brearley if I had to. A global player, I think I'd say Viv Richards. That West Indies generation were beyond belief. They murdered England, frankly. Yeah. And there was so much in terms of attitude. What I love about Viv was not, if our friend Danny's listening, that he played for Somerset, but he was just pure attitude at the crease. pure attitude. Just walking to the crease, you were slightly scared of him. He owned the whole playing area, didn't he? And if you ever go into the Lord's Pavilion, there is the most wonderful, wonderful portrait of him that absolutely dominates the wall on which it sits. And so I would say, just for pure attitude, achievements, and just joy of watching him play, I would put Viv Richards in there. You gave me 3 categories. What was the third one?
Anywhere else in the world?
An Indian player. Oh, I used to, in county cricket, and he played a lot for Northants. I used to love watching Bishan Bedi bowl. He had a lot of guile. He had flight. He was part of that magnificent quartet, of course, in 71. And there was a style. Again, there was something beyond cricket about Bishan Bedi. There was a regalness about him. There was a style about him, and he was part of that fantastic 71 team. There's a theme, isn't there? I'm picking players who are almost slightly bigger than the game. Very different to both of them. Very different to Stokes. Very different to Brearley. But there was just a manner about a calmness about the way Bishan Bedi went about things that was just enjoyable to watch.
So now I get to follow that, yeah?
You can. There you go.
Favourite matches. Well, you said, actually, originally you said one that sort of upset me. I'll tell you one game that really did upset me, and that was the second test of this series. Because I so thought, I wasn't sure we were going to win on the final day of the second test, but I was certain we weren't going to lose. And to lose it in that manner, as an English fan, I was actually quite upset at the end of the day. And I don't often get that upset. A sport is a sport, and you lose well, or you get beaten by a better team. But I kind of thought we threw that away. So that really upset me. Great games of the past. I think the Headingley test against the Ashes, you have to say that's one. And again, Headingley 81 was another one I was thinking of. And players, favourite players.
Well, you've driven half of them around the country in your car, Bear.
Well, I was going to say Clive Lloyd, because I drove him around in the World Cup in 2019. Oh no, favourite games as well. I was going to say the one we missed out on, of course. There's the World Cup final. We beat New Zealand. I mean, that was an amazing game. I mean, I was in the Guerilla studio. I was actually at Lord's. I was doing a World Cup feed, and the excitement in the ground and the sheer theatre of it, going down to the super over and actually being tied. I mean, I guess it was an unsatisfactory way to win in a boundary count back. But the pure excitement of the day and that last ball going out and the run out and everyone knows what's his name, the New Zealand guy's famous commentary on Sky, and it was just an incredible day. And for England, we lost 3 World Cup finals, haven't we, before that? So to finally actually get one, God knows when our football will follow suit. Yeah, the barest of margins. Who knows? But that was an absolutely fantastic game. When it comes to favourite English players, crikey, I mean, there have been so many over the years. I mean, I liked Michael Vaughan when he was a captain. I thought he was great, but now I don't like him. I don't like him very much because he's a bit of an idiot in the press. Joe Root, I mean, it is just unbelievable, modern players. And then you go back. I mean, I used to like Gatting when he was playing, and people like Graham Thorpe, who was kind of, unheralded hero of English cricket during the sort of 90s and early 2000s. Everything was falling apart. Graham Thorpe would come and nerdle it around, maybe get an 80 or a 90 and pull everything back. But he was never heralded as a great. But for me, he was a really gutsy cricketer who always wore it out. Overseas players, going back in time, I think of a series when we got battered the Blackwash in the was it 80s or 90s? It was 90s, wasn't it? 80s, late 80s. Malcolm Marshall, broken wrist, bowled England out endlessly. Curtly Ambrose and Courtney as a partnership in those years. Favourite Indian players, I always liked Lakshman. Dravid, I thought Dravid, you had Tendulkar and everyone loved Tendulkar, but, the backbone of that side was the middle order, You had Tendulkar, who was a superstar. He wouldn't have done it if he didn't have Lakshman and he didn't have Dravid behind him. Kumble was an amazing bowler. Everyone thought, he doesn't really turn it much, but he got 600 test wickets, And modern era favourites, I love, what's his name? God, can't remember his name. Captain of bloody New Zealand.
Kane Williamson.
Kane Williamson. I mean, now, He's a fantastic
Currently,
batsman.
New Zealand are missing him a lot. 60 all out against Bangladesh
Oh, I
in the
saw
T20
that.
match.
Really?
Can't they?
God, I didn't know that. I hadn't followed that.
I know.
But I mean, he's such a stalwart for cricket. You know, he's such a level-headed guy, leading a team that are much unheralded. You know, they beat you guys in the World Test Championship. Could have won that World Cup final. Come from a nation of 3.5 million. You know, they punch way above their weight, and he leads that team so well. So there are many people you could commend throughout history, but there's just a few names. You know,
I'd put Pant and Bumrah in the current England team.
Bumrah, I like.
Both have an X factor. Bumrah's just grown in terms of, you know, that little bit of feisty attitude, as well as the sort of idiosyncratic bowling style that he has.
And he's got the ability to back it up as well.
And he's got the ability to back it up. And, you know, you were talking about Lords. Well, you know, that spell did more than just rough up at England. Jimmy Anderson, it roughed up England's psyche. So, you know, you've got to hand it to him for that. And I saw him interviewed, and as is so often the case with cricketers and bowlers, often, you know, you think they're going to rip your throat out, and actually they're the most charming, lovely people.
Yeah, he was a really nice guy.
He was such an articulate, lovely chap when he was interviewed. And Pant, who hasn't really come off yet this series, although don't forget, you know, he got a ton here at the Oval in 2018. So maybe the Oval will be his go. There is a expectation whenever he comes to the crease. He's a typical wicketkeeper's bubbliness. You know, he's got a little feisty spirit. He's probably always in the batsman's ear. But you know, if he comes off as a batsman, he's a joy to watch. So, and he hasn't come off yet in this series, but he's got 2 tests, and he will post 1 innings. Just I don't know when, but I suspect it could well be the Oval.
Okay, so almost 10 names taken by Bear and Bishop, sir. But just going there, you didn't mention Virat, and Arnab's face is like, oh, I mean, how they are not killing Virat Kohli.
Well, no, Virat Kohli. I mean, the one thing I will give, I mean, a lot of people, and I've heard this from a lot of Indians, you know, even our own guy in Indo, he talks about, you know, a lot of people are sort of, you know, should we drop Virat, da da da. I like the way he captains. I don't have a problem with it. I think that, you know, if that's the way he wants to captain and he wants to big his team up, and that's the way he does it, I don't know if he's off like that off the field. I really don't. But, you know, it's professional sport. You're out there to win. You're not out there to, you know, be best buddies with the opposition. And if that's what it takes to get your team through it, I really don't have a problem with it. I suspect he's not really like that off the pitch. He clearly appreciates good cricket, whether it's his own or whether it's the opposition's. You know, he's quite happy to say the opposition played better than us. And that, for me, that's a fair guy. You know, he's in it for the battle. He's on the pitch. I want to win, and he'll big it up. I'd never minded chat on a cricket field. I think, you know, that's all part and parcel, especially at the top level of the game. He does that on the field, and he's very level-headed off it. Good luck. I mean, I don't think you pick greats. I mean, he is a great batsman. He's going through a rough spell as well. You've got to think, I mean, in England, we had Joe Root, you know, top of the batting list in 2016, going into 2017. He himself had a very lean patch for 2 years. Didn't get a ton for something like 2 years, much like Virat. And he's come back this year and he scored a shed load of runs. Class is permanent, as they say, and form is temporary. And Virat is class, and he will come back and he will score big runs. He's just having a rough patch at the moment. So I don't think anyone should be too harsh on him.
Teams adopt the persona of their skipper to a certain extent. Yeah. And that sort of almost a harsher edge, a more aggressive edge to India is very much him. He doesn't take a backward step.
No,
he loves it when the camera's on him. But you know, he's a global superstar for a reason, and I think history will show. He seems to get a lot of bad press, not bad press so much, but this obsession with winning an ICC tournament is something he gets a lot of grief for. Losing the World Cup, the World Test Championship. I saw he was getting a lot of grief for. Your cricket following can be quite critical. I mean, you've got such a gem there.
Yeah, I think
I think you're a bit harsh on him. I've got to be honest.
I think we're the same here, though, aren't we? I mean, after that second test, we were mullering our entire side, and then we come out and win a third test, and we're great again. I mean, people are fickle, right? Yeah, sport is sport. You win, you lose. You got to take it in the round. You got to enjoy what you see. So.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Okay, so before Arnab reviews slightly the third test and previews the fourth test, let me ask you two questions, guys. One from Indian side and one from the England side. First of all, what is your opinion about the 100 going on in between
Oh,
such a high-profile test match and Moeen Ali playing a 100 match and after a couple of days coming and playing in the test match? I mean, how do the players handle these kind of conditions or these type of situations? Are you satisfied with the 100 happening exactly during such a high intensity test series? I mean, I know weather conditions do not permit in England, but what is your opinion on how does it affect the players, especially when Moeen Ali, Sam Curran playing? And another question from the Indian side, because you have covered a lot of county. My question is, I have asked this question to a lot of guests and the viewers in our show, and I have got different answers. My question is, Cheteshwar Pujara and Ajinkya Rahane, they are probably the backbone of the Indian middle order. But what is your opinion? Should have they played counties, skipping the IPL, because Cheteshwar Pujara played. I mean, not played. He got selected for the CSK, and he also knew, and most of us knew that he is not going to be the part of playing 11. And same with Rahane. So should they have at that time played the counties because the World Test Championship and the England series was there? Because I feel, yes, sir, no doubt they are performing well now, they improved, but it is a matter of consistency. So, what is your opinion on this? So, I have asked two questions. First, I will ask Bear. This time, it will be the other way around. First, Bear, and then I will give Bishop sir some time to think because previously he said.
Well, when it comes to that, I mean, the 100's a weird one, isn't it? I mean, there are lots of political reasons why the 100 was chosen to be the 100. I mean, a lot of people think it should have just been another T20 competition, but we've already got one of them. And, you know, over here, we've got this whole thing about county cricket versus, you know, trying to have what the IPL is, which is a franchise tournament. But the politics here don't really allow it. So the ECB came up with 100. I didn't watch a great deal of it. I watched it. For me, it was basically T20, but shorter. I mean, there really isn't a lot of difference, right? So it's a way... I mean, if you're critical about it, and a lot of people are, especially county fans, I'm not a massive follower of county cricket, so I'm kind of a bit easier on that. But I mean, the problem is that they're trying to wrestle control from the counties in England, and that's where it all kind of falls apart. It'll be interesting to see what happens to it in a couple of years' time, whether it develops just into a T20 tournament that they can then stick on national broadcast telly. I mean, you've got to remember over here, it's a lot of things to do with. A lot of people think that cricket has shrunk because it's, you know, the public can't see it because it's not on the BBC or ITV or any of the public broadcasters. It's only on, you know, pay TV, right? So cricket as a whole, it may make money, but people don't see it. And so less people play and it has less relevance. And I think this sort of tournament being back on telly, hopefully will engage more people with cricket. So that side of it's good. Whether it's a good competition, that remains to be seen. I don't know. As for people like Moeen, I mean, we had this argument in the last test when Moeen got picked, for example, for the test side, and you know, it's brought up that players like Rohit, you know, all he does is play T20s. I mean, he does play tests, but he hasn't played a county game. He hasn't played what Ranjit Trophy for 5 years or something. Yeah. So, you know, I think professional cricketers are professional cricketers. I think they can switch between formats. I'm not so bothered about this switching between formats business. I think if you're good enough, you're good enough, right? It may take a little while to adjust, and ideally you don't want that to happen. But I'm not so concerned about the lack of playing county cricket. I mean, English conditions are difficult. The ball seams. It's not, you know, in India you get the ragging ball on really dry pitches. Here you get nibble off the seam and it moves in the air and we use a different ball. And it's not easy to play cricket, and with slip fielders and all that kind of stuff you get in test matches, it's difficult to adjust. Scores here aren't generally as high as in India. But they've been playing here their entire careers. You know, it's all in the memory. It's all up there. You just got to drag it back out again and play. So I don't really have a problem with that. Sorry, what was the second question? I can't remember.
Second question was the same, other way around. Pujara, I mean, will you say the same thing to Pujara and Rahane? Because Pujara rarely played white ball cricket. So I guess your answer might be same or different. I am interested.
It might be, but the difference there is that obviously it is foreign conditions. Most of the time you play in subcontinental conditions. Sheikh Jar, I mean, a lot of India's test matches are at home. I mean, they were successful in going to Australia, but then Australian conditions aren't very much like in England's in the fact that the ball doesn't really do a lot, right? So once you get through 5-10 overs with a kookaburra ball, you don't get a lot of movement off the seam, and there's not a great amount of movement in the air in Australia. So it's probably easier to adapt. He did have a couple of seasons, and in fact, I watched him score a ton for Surrey years back when he was playing county cricket over here, and it might well have done him some good. It's no guarantee, but look, he got 91 in the last test. I've always had respect for Che Bajara, and I imagine much like some of our slower players, you know, people have a go at him for spending too long at the crease and not scoring any runs. But you know, in Australia, he had a couple of innings where he was in there for 100, 200 balls, didn't get massive runs, but allowed everyone else to score runs, and they won the matches, right? This is Test cricket. It's not all about wham, bam, thank you, man. It's about winning matches. He's always done it his way, and he's, you know, he scored, 7,000 Test runs at an average of nearly 50. He's a class batsman. And again, I say it's never easy batting in England. Rahane is a bit different. I mean, he does seem to go in and out of form. I mean, I've always liked him. He's got a very classical style. And a couple of series ago, I seem to remember him scoring quite a lot of runs over here. But he does seem a bit out of form at the moment, I will say. He looks like he looks like a bit of a walking wicket. So I'm happy for him to play, but I do like Rahane. Your turn, Tone.
I'll take the Pujara Rahane question first. Well, I mean, in Pujara's case, he certainly has English experience. I mean, I think he played here in Derbyshire, Yorkshire twice, I think. Notts, I think he's played for. So he has familiarity of English conditions, and it isn't easy. You know, even in August when we've had some funny old weather, you know, that ball zips around. Early morning at Lords. I mean, I went to Lords this week. Middlesex were 3 down for about 15, predictable enough. But you know, early morning Lords, first morning, the ball's always going to do something. And as you say, they didn't play in the IPL. I would have thought county cricket, for both of them, they would have been an asset to their county, whoever they played for. And it's not. It's a well-trodden path by a lot of Australians pre-Test series to come and play county cricket. So your point about, you know, sitting at the IPL and not playing, he could have spent his time better. I agree. You know, it's taken him a while to get his feet moving and confidence going in the series till he got that. Was it 91 he got? Rahane had a decent spell with Hampshire, but he was a bit hit and miss. I don't think he made many big scores. So I agree. I think any player who invests their time and effort to play in foreign conditions to them to improve their chances of being successful there, it's a good investment. I think you probably have to respect the fact that even though he didn't play, I suspect he had a contract still that he was being paid for his availability. I don't know, but possibly, yeah, they did miss a trick on that front. And English conditions are unique. It's very difficult for England players when they go to India. You know, sure, we had the one win, but once those wickets really start ripping and turning,
we can't play for toffee.
You know, well,
we're going to fall apart.
I'm sure we struggle. Yeah.
So a lot of discussion about the pitch at that time.
Yes.
When.
Well, I mean, personally, I thought it was look, in India, I think pitches should turn. I mean, but I don't think they should turn square and pop from, you know, right at the beginning of the Test match. Fine, you know. I mean, last time we were there, I don't think it was even that bad. I mean, it started turning and getting square on sort of back end of day 2. But I mean, to have it from the word go. I mean, I personally, I thought in the last Test series, it was obvious that something was going to happen after we won that first Test. But the point was, in that first Test in India, we won the toss and we batted. And you do get the best batting conditions on flat wickets in India. And it does get worse. So we won a toss, got lucky, scored a lot of runs. And then when you get 600 runs, it's, you know, no matter who you're playing against, no matter who conditions, it's, you know, that's a lot of scoreboard pressure to come out of. So we won that first Test. And then I thought for the other 4 tests, it was basically 1 innings per test pretty much that decided the test. You know, there was that Rohit 160 in no time at all.
Yeah.
But if you actually look at the rest of the scorecard, both teams, I mean, you had better spinners than us. You know, you had Jadeja and you got Ravi Ashwin, and you had Axar Patel, who was, you know, on a turning pitch is lethal. And we just had Leach and a misfiring Bess. And then we had Moeen for 1 test who hadn't done any practice, but that was it. So we didn't, you know, even Root got a 5 for crying out loud, you know. So it was always going to be tricky. But I mean, those test matches were won by particular innings of greatness in very trying conditions, and everyone else pretty much failed on both sides. So it was, I thought it was a bit, you know, you won, you're at home. That's pretty much the way it goes. So can't complain too much.
I didn't answer your 100 question either, did I?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Basically, I struggle with it. I think it's answering a problem that I don't necessarily believe cricket has, and I find myself, you know, really disliking the crass marketing of it. But when I watch it, it's watchable cricket. What I worry about is its long-term impact, and the fact that, for example, there was no first-class Test cricket in you know, from the end of July to practically the beginning of September. That's taking a big old chunk out the county season, and I think long-term, most county fans would be concerned, because there's 6 who are quite happy because they're nicely housed and have own Test match grounds, and the rest do have a reason to fear, I think. And I think that, and the ECB had a product that gets the right kind of crowds. The similar marketing. Mike Atherton had a great article where he described a bookshop. So you got one book in the window, and a big signs telling you where it is, and lots of reviews tell you all about it, and all your other books you hide at the back. And then you go, great, look how much we sold of this one book. We didn't sell so many of these others, you know. And there is 100. You know, any idiot graduate marketing person could spend that sort of money and could not fail, because of the amount of money that went behind it. The impact will be in the future if the lack of first-class county cricket impacts our testability. Now, Bear's got one point of view, which I fully respect. That is, transferability between formats is absolutely fine. I don't think so quite so much. And I think we have seen that. Just the length of time it's taken players to get into this series and make runs. You know, it took this the opening partnership until the 3rd test to make any runs at all. And you can lift certain players, just because they are that good. And Root obviously fits into that category.
But I will make the point here that over the last since the IPL has been going and T20 tournaments have been going around the world, you look at test playing nations around the world, there are a few standout players like your Kohlis, Root, who else who's in the top 4? Smith, Piggy Smith, and all these kinds of people who have a real talent, right? But there have been a lot more results in Test match cricket over the last few years, and maybe people don't bat as consistently or as technically as they used to. But games move on quicker, and they're actually quite a bit more exciting because people are a bit more rubbish. Because, you know, there's massive gates between their bat and pad, and they swish at balls miles outside their off stump, which, you know, back in the 60s and 70s, people would leave those. But then you'd have run rates consistently in 1.5s and 2s throughout a test match. It'd be quite dull. I mean, the game has moved on, and I think you have to embrace all this and try and get it all together. And you're still going to get test matches. I don't think it's ever going to go. The fact is that Kohli and all the, you know, big names in cricket still believe that Test match cricket is the pinnacle of cricket because it's the hardest form to play. And for that reason, I don't think it will ever die. It may change, and the way it changes, who knows? But I think Test cricket at the moment is really exciting with the fact that wickets go. I like the fact that at the moment, you know, bowlers are quite dominant in Test cricket in all nations. You know, you've got a really good Australian bowling attack, really good Indian bowling attack. England's bowling attack's pretty good. New Zealand's bowling attack is really good, you know. And they take wickets, and it makes it exciting. It moves the game on. A batsman a bit more frail, and it, you know, it makes it a bit more exciting, I think. Don't get many draws, so all good for me.
Yeah, we are getting results. That's what we needed in test matches. Absolutely. Arnav, I know you're sitting quite for a long time and your face is like, what is happening here? I know. But please now,
me? Not at all.
please now get on the track, and I will be keeping quiet and listening, because so far it has been really fantastic. I mean, they are like probably 30 to 40 years older than me and probably 50 years older than you. I mean, it's absolutely like they are the encyclopedias in cricket. So Arnav, you can go ahead, and I will sit quiet and listen now.
What do you want us to talk about?
Yeah.
Was it the third test
like
review?
going forward, look for test, the one which is here. So like my first question is, what changes, if any changes, what changes would you make to the playing 11s for both the teams, going forward to viewer Arya Yadav's question, or will Surya Kumar Yadav play in this match? So you'll get your answer with Sir's answer, will he play or not? He'll tell you in your playing 11. So yeah, so what do you think? Will there be any changes in both the teams playing 11?
Do you want to take that one, Bear?
Well, I think England will have changes.
And if yes, what?
Well, I think Wokes will come in for Curran. Curran's been quite ineffective. Butler is out. He's going back for his kid. So Bairstow will therefore go to being a keeper, which then opens a spot in the top 6. I presume they'll go with Ollie Pope, as he is the replacement for him. And then the only question comes, do they bring... so those are 2 obvious changes. And then I think the third, less obvious one will be, do they keep Overton in the side? I mean, I was reading this morning talking about giving Anderson or Ollie Robinson a rest. I don't think they would do that. I think that would be madness. They've created a decent opening partnership with the bowling, and they've had a bit of rest. They only bowled, the first innings was really short, and the second innings only lasted a day and a half, a day and a session. So, they've had, they should have had reasonable rest between tests. Then the question will be, will they drop Craig Overton and bring in Wood for the extra pace? Which is actually quite a hard decision, because Overton got 7 wickets in the test, 6 or 7,
3 and 3.
Yeah, so 6. So and then Wood obviously has that ability to bowl at 95 miles an hour, which can get you a wicket when things are going flat. So would I would probably, I mean, for me personally, I would probably bring back Wood. Especially if I was going to bring Wokes, because I think Sam Curran has been pretty ineffective, but Wokes in England is very effective, and he will back up, I think, Ollie Robinson and Anderson much better, which gives you space to have the pace man. He might go for some runs, but he might also get you a vital wicket at a vital time. Now, when it comes to India, I've been arguing this the whole Test series, that India have made the right decision with putting Jadeja in the side. I know a lot of Indians are like, why aren't we putting Ashwin in the side? Because in England, you don't need 2 spinners, and it is a waste of a bowling position. If you get to bowl first in England, your spinner theoretically should hardly bowl in the first innings, and they will maybe get some overs in the second innings, depending how long the game goes. A lot of people are talking about that he got wickets when he bowled for that one game for Surrey, but I mean, I was reading the papers last night and they were like, don't expect the Test wicket to be anything like the county game wicket. It'll be much more solid, may turn on days 4 and 5. So to have 2 spinners in your side just for days 4 and 5, when you don't know whether you're going to be bowling first or last, is a gamble, man. And I think Kohli saw that from the World Test Championship. He went into the World Test Championship thinking, if I have Jadeja and I have Ashwin, I've got 3 seam bowlers, we can win this game. But they didn't really bowl a lot, and then you put a lot of pressure on your seam bowling, who've got to do most of the bowling, and they get tired, and then the opposition will score runs against you. I know it's really harsh, and there is a case actually, if England have more left-handers, to have Ashwin as your bowler, but Ashwin has scored 5 Test tons, 6 Test tons. Jadeja for me is a better batsman. And that's where it wins out for me. I think you've got to be pragmatic about it and think, okay, we're not going to get loads of overs out of our spinner. Jadeja can hold up an end. He bowls flat stuff. He bowls dartish. He can go for 1 and 2 and an over, even when the wicket's not doing anything for him. And he can take wickets when it is. I mean, the ball that he got, who was it he bowled? It was Hamid. I mean, the ball that got Hamid was an absolute peach of a delivery, pitch middle off, turn, beat the outside edge, nick the top of our stump. He's a good bowler. He's a really good bowler. And he's a better batsman. And if you're going to go with one spinner, unfortunately, I'd go with Jadeja. I know Ashwin's a better spinner, but the pragmatism of the side. Having said that, Ishant Sharma bowled pretty poorly in the last test.
Yeah.
Who do you replace him with? I don't know.
Shardul maybe.
Is he fit again? Because he was injured, wasn't he, after the first test?
He was fit to play in the last test too.
Yeah. So you could go back to him. I think he might be a better option. I mean, Ishant Sharma just looks off colour. I don't know what's wrong with him, but he was down on pace, didn't seem to do a lot, was quite expensive. And yeah, I mean, he's an obvious one to go out. As for Surya Kumar, I don't know. I mean, are you going to change that top?
No.
Are you going to change the top six? I don't know if you are.
No.
I mean,
It's the thing, like some people might want Surya Kumar Yadav instead of Ajinkya Rahane, but they know that it's not going to happen because Kohli is going to trust Rahane on that spot again.
Well,
I think that comes down to experience as well, doesn't it?
Exactly.
If you're going your one test all, let's remember India would have won at Trent Bridge, were rescued, and England, I think, were rescued by the weather. Comprehensively won at Lord's, psychologically, and then, in reality. England probably wouldn't have been so exceptional at Headingley had they not been stung at Lord's. The best ever toss to lose for Joe Root. Which with the seam attack gave them the advantage, which is why it's so beautifully poised.
And the worst ever toss to win for Virat, because people were saying Virat doesn't win tosses.
Yeah, and you can't. You win the toss, we'll have a bat, and you're out for 70 odd. Then it clearly hasn't worked, has it?
Let me say, England have done that a fair few times.
Well, or they've said we'll have a bowl and watch the opposition sort of rack up.
Well, that's what we do. That's what we did in the previous test, didn't it?
Which famously, I can't remember who did that once. It was it's Nasser Hussain. We'll have a bowl.
Yeah.
500 runs later.
Wow.
So Surya Kumar, I think he's a great talent, but he hasn't played a test, has he? And I think that.
No.
Do you go in? Do you debut a player yet to play a test match? In a match such as that? I think Virat, who will clearly have a big say on things, would rather go with the vice captain. He knows. Dug him when he wasn't there in Australia. Delivered big time. Big match, big player. I don't think I'm with Bear. I don't think they will necessarily make a change. I do though think Ashwin will come in, whether it's for Jadeja or not, I don't know. I think Ishant Sharma, I'd be very surprised if Ishant Sharma trots out at the Oval. I think his radar was gone. His everything about him just looked a bit off, didn't it? That first over he bowled was not quite a Harmiston in Australia quality, but it was pretty wayward. So they will find a way to get Ashwin in, whether they'll stick with Siraj, Bumrah, Shami, and two spinners.
They might even rest any of Siraj or Bumrah or Shami, because Virat Kohli also said we need to check on the workload of the fast bowlers, because not each of them can do all the.
You're absolutely right on that, and this is what England are saying. So if you come to England, you've just bowled magnificently. But you've got your 38-year-old national treasure in Jimmy Anderson. Are you playing in 4 games on the trot when you have to manage?
You are.
When you have to manage your resources. Bear says yes. I would. He's like the horse farm to me. Just work harder, but.
Exactly. I can't see Jimmy going, I'll have a rest on this. I mean, he's a professional cricketer. No one really wants a rest, do they? Unless they're.
Indians would love that.
Yeah, you're back. It's Arnav. He's been in and out of it. I think I would stick with Robinson, definitely. I think Robinson is good, but Wood, I think, will come in because there may be less lateral movement. Therefore, raw pace is something they want, and Wood can deliver it. So I suspect you might see Wood for Overton. You'll see Bairstow drop down to play at 6. And who does that leave room for in the top order? Ollie Pope, likely then to come in, and I think England will think about rest and rotation. but they'd rather do it when they're 2-1 up in the series and have got a lead to protect that, if they could get to that.
I don't think they will. I mean, Broad and Anderson are the rest of the rotation candidates, really, for England.
Broad won't play
Broad's
anyway.
out, exactly. Yeah. Anderson isn't going to the IPL, and he's not playing in the World T20. So the next business he has is probably the Ashes if they go ahead, which means he gets 4 months off, 3 months off, and how much cricket has Anderson played this summer? Oh, sorry, excuse my language.
Not a lot for Lancashire, that's for sure.
Exactly.
Played a bit early season, I think, for Lancashire.
So I just think that they'll. I don't think Anderson will miss any further tests in this series. I mean, if this one's a really long one and arduous, and India get big scores, and they're bowling a lot, but I don't think after there was a break between the second and third tests. The first innings only lasted 40 overs, and the second innings was 90. So, and he only bowled 8 overs in the first innings, and he bowled about 20 in the second. So, it's 26 overs in a week ago. Get him out there. Stop being so numpty about it.
Yeah, I mean, he's not got Jimmy's not got his best average at the Oval. I think he's played there how many times? I know he's got an average of about 31 at the Oval with the ball, that is, obviously not with the bat. But he's certainly taken plenty of that would be something. He's certainly taken plenty of wickets there.
Yeah.
How many times has he played? He's played 13 tests at the Oval, averages 31 with the ball. But if I look through that record, over the years, he's always taken 2, 3, 4. On a couple of occasions, I don't think he's got a 5 for at the Oval. I hope I'm not doing him any disservice. I'll just double check. No, he doesn't have a 5. I don't think he does have a 5 for at the Oval. If he's listening at all, then he'll put me right. He doesn't. But he's always taken wickets there. I'd be surprised if they chose to rest him. Let's put it that way. I'm with Bear on that one.
Absolutely.
Well, I'd like to. I mean, what do you think? What do you guys think of Pant? I mean, I said before. I'll tell you 2 of the things I said before the series. I thought England would win 3-1, and I didn't think Pant would have a very good series in England. He's too aggressive against the moving ball. He's getting himself all the time. Do you think he's got to calm down? Do you think he needs to wind his head in a little bit? Because he's clearly got oodles of talent. But, twice in this series, he's run down to Jimmy Anderson first ball. He hasn't tried to eventually play him over the top of Jimmy Anderson's head. But do you think there's too much bravado there?
Go on,
Sorry?
Yeah, I was saying, that's his game, but he needs to be more mature. Like, what he's doing, he's going down for the first, second down. He's half the crease there, batting to Jimmy Anderson, and then just he's poking at balls outside off stump. And I feel first in the World Test Championship final, Jamieson got the right strategy to him, going over the wicket. First, Jamieson was going round the wicket to him. He got smashed for 2 fours. And then when just he switched to over the wicket, Pant was struggling because the ball, when it's going away from him, over the wicket, it's just angling across. So Pant is like somebody who wants the ball coming into him because his natural he's a natural striker of the ball towards long on and mid wicket, but he isn't able to do that because the ball is going towards the first slip region. So that's why he's getting problems, and he's therefore making it to first slip or second slip.
Exactly.
Well, England got there.
He doesn't move his feet, does he? He's a stand and deliver kind of batsman. So if you bowl it across him,
and England got their length and direction much better headingly than they did at the Oval. Against that, he can look back to 2018 and remember his 114 he made.
But in that innings, I remember that innings, and he didn't start off smashing it around. He got to 50 in a reasonable amount of time, and then went on. From here, it's like he almost believes his own hype, and he's just off and running straight away, and he's getting himself out. He needs to just wind it in a bit. But,
well, there you go.
The one thing which Rishabh is lagging is the patience. I mean, he needs to show some patience rather than swinging the bat around, because in test matches you need patience, to be honest. It's not like that you can go heave around and you can be, because there are some good quality bowlers in the opposition, and you need to respect them and give some time to yourself.
Yeah.
Well, this is one of the great things about both sides, but certainly this the Indian side. The quality of pace bowling. The old cliche of fabulous spinners, hittable seamers. It's so out of date now. When you look at India, who have got a genuinely world class pace attack, which they proved in Australia, and they're proving over here, and that is ideal for English conditions. That's one of the things I think is really helping them here. Is they can take advantage of English conditions in the way that previous touring Indian sides probably less so, which gives them makes it such an interesting series.
Yeah.
Okay, Arnab, you can just.
He's disappeared again.
He's been in and out like a fiddler's elbow. What's he doing?
I think there might be some network issues. I guess Arnab. Okay, Arnab is back again, and you can just ask the predictions, or then you can wrap up the show. We have taken a lot of time from them, and it's been a pleasure talking to them.
Predictions for this test.
Yeah. So my final question basically was. Yeah.
Well, as I said earlier, I predict that England. I predicted at the beginning of the series England would win 3-1 with a draw, and I think we were actually a little maybe lucky to get out of the first test with a draw. I did think that we may be a bowling out. I mean, I think England will win. I don't know what the wicket's going to be like at the Oval, but I think England will win this test. I mean, this is the thing about Test match cricket. It swings and it swings, and then it kind of settles. We're in home conditions. India have been away from home for a long time. They'd have been really G'd up after winning the second test. They'd have been really upset after the last test. They will come out hard, but I think cracks have been found. England's bowlers have got better lines and lengths, and they're more used to bowling in our conditions. And I just think that eventually it'll get on top of India. And I predict this test might be quite close, but England will win it. And if England do win it, I think the last test India might find themselves crumbling, and it'll be quite a short test. That's my prediction.
Okay. Hope it gets wrong. Of course, we all want.
Of course, you do.
From India.
Well, I think isn't it something like 5-1 to England at the Oval on results against India, if I'm right? Yeah, played 13, 5 to England, 7 draws at the Oval.
India haven't won since 1971 after that historic series win in Oval.
Well, there you exactly. And can they summon up the spirit of 71? It was a very different shaped side, of course. In
Chandrasekhar taking
that Wadekar had 6 wickets for Chandrasekhar. Yep, absolutely.
Now, I will say, weather-wise, I don't think it's going to be particularly sunny. I don't think it's going to rain a lot. Again, like the last test, it's going to be
tomorrow. It's pretty gloomy. It's like dark clouds.
Yes, exactly. It'll be cloudy, but I don't think it's going to rain. I mean, we haven't had a lot of rain recently. It's just been grey. Basically, the sky
grey
is
and cloudy.
Grey.
I think Virat would want to lose the toss again and leave it up to Joe Root. I noticed a question on your screen. Who's having more advantage?
One thing, it's a pattern with India. Whenever it's sunny, they would never perform, but they would always take out the tough time in cloudy conditions, and that always has been the case in the previous few months.
And Arnab, one more thing, you can never predict the English weather. Even the people in England cannot predict what is the correct weather to be on.
You are dead right there. I'm looking at that question on the screen, saying who's having more advantage. India had the up and from Lords, and England bounced back, motivated by that. Arguably, England have the up after that 78 and then blowing India away. I'm sure India will bounce back. Virat and they're a proud team. So the way the series has gone, I'm slightly favouring India on the bounce back effect, but I think England in very English conditions, probably at Old Trafford, if it doesn't rain for 5 days.
I would love getting this match being drawn would be wonderful, because then it would go to the decider.
Well, it'll go to the decider now, whatever, won't it? I mean, even if we win or you win, it'll be 2-1 with 1 to play. So, I mean, there's always the next 2 games are very important. It could be a drawn series, could be a 1 series either side. So,
I'm going for a draw or win for India at the Oval, but I'm going for a win for England at Old Trafford.
Ooh, okay. I'm going for a win for England at both. I'm an optimist.
Okay.
And so my final question is, when is that big number 71 coming?
Number 71.
From
What?
Virat Kohli century. He's asking
Oh,
71st century.
No. Is he going to get it in the next 2 games? He put. Let me see. What did he get at?
He got 55
half
in the last
century.
innings. He got a half century in an earlier test. Or did you get 40 in an earlier test? He looks to be struggling. He looks to be struggling outside his off stump. They were showing some interesting. Trigger movements for him actually in the last test. About, I mean, we have Sky have all these batting classes and stuff, and there's one with Atherton, and he was talking with Kohli when they were in India last time about how he changed his trigger movements for England between 2014, 2018, when obviously he got a couple of centuries and a 90. And they were showing that basically, weirdly, he'd gone back to his trigger movements pre-2018. So he was closing himself off and reaching for balls outside the off stump.
Standing well outside of his crease still.
I mean, I quite like this. He's a great batsman. I quite like to see him get 100, but I'm not sure if I want to see him get it against us. That's the truth.
I think he's a showman, and when India really need him, I've got a feeling he'll deliver one. That's my thought. He pushed at one, didn't he, in that second innings? Pushed at one that sort of angled into him from Robinson. He looked a little bit uncertain, but he had got himself to 55. I think if there's a game on the line, one of these 2 tests, you may well see that 3 figures.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Arnab, let us ask the final words. And if you have any questions, you can go ahead. Otherwise, we can wrap it up.
Okay.
Yeah. So finally, what was your experience coming here? Then we'll just wrap up.
I've really enjoyed myself. It's good to have a chat with you guys. It's always good to talk to our Indian counterparts. I mean, we have different views on who's going to win and who's going to lose, but it's always good fun. Cricket is an inclusive sport, and I love it. And thanks for having us.
I'll go along with that. It's been enormous fun. Delighted to chat to you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, and hopefully we'll see you again after India winning the series.
Yeah.
Well, we shall see. All right.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Take care, guys. Thank you so much.
Okay,
let us
Arnab.
just do Olympic updates. Paralympic,
Yeah.
I mean.
So that was something a fantastic show. And did you enjoy really, Arnab? Because we are just going to talk for 5-10 minutes. I know. Like they are pretty experienced and they gave detailed analysis. I mean, also you saw he was searching in his internet, browsing like what is the score. I mean, he was so excited. So what was the experience? And then we can just talk about the update like Prashid Krishna coming. थोड़ा सा हिंदी में बात कर लेते हैं यार.
Yeah, so I really loved having Tony sir to the show, and like Dear sir also, it was a pleasure. बहुत मजा आया उनसे बात करके. So बाकी आज Prasid Krishna has been added to India squad for the test match, the 4th test match, and we were wondering, हम सोच रहे थे कि क्यों ऐड किया है, हमारे पास ऑलरेडी इतने सारे बैकअप हैं. But अभी भरत अरुण ने बोला he has been added as a precautionary measure, and अगर किसी को इंजरी होता है तो if you want to rest someone, so he has just been added as a workload management and as a precautionary measure.
Exactly. और बिल्कुल मुझे लगता है कि वो ईशांत शर्मा के रिप्लेसमेंट है, मुझे जितना ख्याल है, क्योंकि ईशांत शर्मा की जो हाइट है, बट खेलेंगे कि नहीं दैट विल बी इंटरेस्टिंग. और यार अर्नब, प्लेइंग 11 लगभग तय है इंडिया के लिए. आपको मालूम है अश्विन आएंगे, आप कुछ भी बोलो, अगर नहीं आएंगे अगेन आई विल बी सरप्राइज. बट व्हाट आई फील इज दैट यू कैन ब्रिंग बैक शार्दुल इन प्लेस ऑफ ईशांत, एंड अश्विन अगर खेलते हैं फिर अश्विन किसके जगह खेलेंगे यार? मतलब अब
वो ईशांत की जगह आ सकते हैं. यू कैन लाइक मैं इस टीम में
आप 2 स्पिनर खिलाओ. हाँ,
ऐसा if Jadeja is playing, Jadeja Ashwin both are playing, I see them as 3 pacers, 1 spinner, rather than seeing 3 pacers, 2 spinner, because Jadeja primarily he is playing as a batsman in the team.
एग्जैक्टली और ऊपर में कुछ चेंजेस होने वाला नहीं है. बाकी और एक बड़ी न्यूज, वर्ल्ड T20 का स्क्वाड एक वीक बाद अनाउंस होगा. सो वी विल बी
7
डिस्कसिंग
सितंबर
अबाउट दैट.
अनाउंस होगा.
हाँ, बाकी पैरालंपिक्स में ज्यादा कुछ हुआ नहीं है, बस अपडेट्स
बैडमिंटन
मेडल्स
में भी
नहीं आए हैं.
क्लब थ्रो में भी यू फिनिश 5th आई थिंक, 5th या 4th हम कुछ फिनिश किए. तो आज का दिन उतना ग्रेट नहीं था, बट यहाँ से अगर हम मेडल ना भी जीते, इट्स ऑलरेडी ब्रिलियंट 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 परफॉर्मेंस बाय अस एट द पैरालंपिक्स. 10 मेडल, इट्स द हाईएस्ट एवर फॉर अस.
Okay, so guys, almost 1 hour. It's time to wrap up the show. Till then, goodbye. Take care. Like, share, subscribe channel, and do watch Melinda Parallel Show in both channels.
Yeah, till then, hope you have a good day and subscribe to the channel as Archis Manbhaiya said. So till then, peace guys, and hope you have a good